Hi, welcome back. In this video we're going to be looking at creating a welcome screen that contains user instructions on how to play the game. This screen is going to contain some fancy fonts, so we're going to be looking at some tools or coding that allows us to create special effects with fonts. We're going to look at the difference between left aligned, right aligned and centered text and how that looks on the screen, so you understand how to use those. And we're also going to look at how to display different text on different screens. Okay, and we're going to be dealing with key presses to move from the welcome screen into the game. So I'm going to start by showing you some tools for rooms. So currently in our game we have our 3 rooms that have been created, our 3 levels, and you'll notice by one of those rooms is a little home symbol, and that means that's the first room that's displayed in the game. So as soon as I run the game, that's the room that's displayed. Now what I'm going to do is create a new room. Okay, so I'm just going to right click on the rooms assets and I'm going to create a room, and I'm going to call this rm_welcome. So this is going to be my welcome screen, and I'm going to change the size of my room to match the rest of my game. So that's going to be 1920 by 1080. You haven't got to use those room dimensions, mind, that's just the room dimensions that I've chosen. And before we go any further, I'm going to make sure that I put the game object onto the room. So I'm going to highlight on the game object that we've created and drag it onto the room. Now when I run the room, all it'll display is the score on the lives, because that's all. Oh, sorry, one thing I've forgotten to do first. As I explained to you before, when I run this game, it'll display whatever symbol, whichever room has the home symbol, that is the room that's displayed first. So if I click it, okay, you'll see that it displays the game. So how do I go about changing that? Well, if I click on the home symbol, you can see these are my rooms, and I've got a room order. Now I can move these rooms up and down. So what I want really is to have the RM welcome at the top with the home symbol on it. And I can do that just by clicking the up button like that, and it moves my room, my welcome room, up to the top with the home symbol. And now when I run it, I can close that down now. And now when I run my game, what I should see displayed is a black screen just with the lives and the score at the top. So that's how we use the room manager to decide on which room is going to be displayed first. The order of the other rooms is not particularly important, because we're going to be using some code to decide where we go next using case statements. So let's have a look then at how we can use alignment to change the way that text is lined up on the screen. So I'm going to be using the game object, and if you remember, we use the draw text events, and as I said before, anything that's got the forward slashes in front of it, double forward slashes, is treated as a comment and it's not drawn. So currently when I run my game, I get the score and the lives appear, and for the purpose and the benefit of what I'm going to do next, I'm just going to put 2 comment symbols in front of those draw text statements, and they will then be treated as comments. So now when I run my game, nothing is drawn to the screen. Okay, brilliant. So I want to look at 3 different alignment types, and that is left aligned, right aligned text and centered text. So in order to change the alignment, we use a command called draw set halign. Okay, so draw underscore, oh sorry, let's type that, draw underscore set underscore h align. Okay, now it's important that you declare how you want your text to be aligned before you start your text. It defaults to left aligned, but I just want to show you the difference between the 3. So that says align. With the draw command, you're going to set it, and you're going to set the horizontal alignment, open a bracket, FA means font align underscore left. Okay, so what you're doing is setting the alignment of the font for the draw command to left. Okay, oh, semicolon on there. Now I'm going to cheat a bit here. I'm going to copy one of these draw statements rather than typing one in, and I'm going to paste that in there. So I'm going to draw my text at X. I'm going to say, I'll say 500, and I'm going to come down to about 500 as well on my screen, and I'm going to change the text I'm going to display to this font is left aligned. Okay, so let's run that just so you can see what's happening there. So at 500 by 500, I'm going to reduce that up. I'm going to take that up a little bit actually. 500 is too much, but you can see that that's 500 on the X. So this font is left aligned. Okay, so let's close that down. I'm going to take it on the Y-axis. I'm going to take it back up to about 300. Okay, I'm going to copy this statement just for speed. I'm going to paste underneath. So I'm going to come down to the next line and I'm going to paste underneath. And this time I'm going to use right alignment. Okay, and I'm going to say at 100 down on the Y. So if I'm going to go for 400 this time, I'm going to say this font is right aligned. Okay, and I'm going to copy this statement to actually, let's look at that and see what that looks like. So you can see this is left alignment from 500. This is right alignment from 500. So it aligns it to the right. Okay, so it starts, or at least it ends, it's the other way around. So left alignment reads from left to right. Right alignment, you have it going this way. And in center alignment, I'm sure you can guess. Let's just type it so you can see it. Right alignment, let's copy that statement. Paste that in, and this time I'm going to use center. You have to be careful with center alignment because they use the American spelling. So it's C-E-N-T-E-R, not R-E, but we're going to write the correct spelling for us here. Center alignment. And again, I'm going to come down another 100 just so as it's easy to see. And let's run that. So you can see the difference between the three fonts. So this is the starting point. So this is left aligned, that is right aligned, and that's center aligned. So it centers what you type around that point. Okay, so that's the difference between the three different types of alignment. And what we're going to do, we're going to be using center alignment for our welcome screen to display a message on screen. So let's look at that then. I'm going to get rid of all of this, and I'm going to declare my alignment on my screen to be center. Now I'm going to start by creating some simple fonts. I'm not going to show you the fancy stuff yet. So let's use draw text again. So I'm going to copy this statement. So I've aligned my text to center. Okay, so now I'm going to set my my start point for my draw to the middle of my screen. And you can say, well, how do you do that? Well, that's quite straightforward. What we do there is to work out half the size of the screen. Now, when we create rooms, the height and the width of the screen is stored in a variable called room height and room width. So what we're going to do is to find out half of that. So for the X value, I'm going to type in room width underscore width divided by 2. And that will give me half of my room width. As far as my Y coordinate, I'm going to come down to 100. And I'm just, in my string, I'm going to put yo, exclamation mark, yo, exclamation mark, where's my hat? Close my speech marks. Okay, so that's my first line. I'm then going to do something that's you haven't seen before, and I'm going to draw another text statement. Okay. As a matter of fact, I'm going to copy that one. I'm going to copy this one. I come into the next line, paste it in, and this time I'm going to do room width, but this time I'm going to come down to 200. And I'm going to say here, just so you can see what's going on, this is my next line. Okay, let's run that, see what that looks like. So I've got, yo, where's my hat? This is my next line. Okay, now I could, for my next line of text, draw another draw text command, and so on and so on and so on, and keep going, and I would have loads and loads and loads of draw text statements. But Game Maker has got a super tool that we can use in order to allow us to create long passages of text. And what we do with that is I'm just going to drop this down to the next line, okay, and I'm going to put an @ symbol in front of my like that, in front of my text. And now whatever I type in here, I'm going to get rid of this. Okay, whatever I type in here now, I can say this is my next line. This is my third line. Exclamation mark, and then I'm going to close my speech mark like, oh, not like that, like that, like that. And when I run my my code now, it tells me I've got an error. So if we look at the compile errors at the bottom of the screen, okay, so I'm looking down here, it's telling us that game event draw at line 12 got a semicolon where it expected either a comma or a bracket. So this is game line 12. Now you'll notice that when I start my draw text statement, I've got a bracket there. Okay, so there's an error on my typing here, which is right, that's what should be there, but I should have finished here with a bracket. Okay, so if I type a bracket in there, these errors disappear. Okay, so this now should work. So when I recompile my code, so you can see this is my next line, this is my next line, this is my third line. So I can use that to create some text on the screen in bulk. So what I want you to do is to create your user instructions for your game. I'm going to do the same. I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to resume it once I've done that. Okay, so I've typed in the instructions for my game. So I'm just going to run them so you can see that they work. I'm not saying they're the best. I could have added how many points I was going to score for collecting gems and how many points I was going to score for killing monsters. But you can see that it gives me the aim of the game. Okay, it tells me how I need to move, what keys I need to move, and how to shoot. I need to collect the key from each level to progress to the next level in the game, and it's asking me to press enter to start the game. Okay, so it's giving me instructions on how to proceed. Okay, so you're going to say, well, you said you were going to show me fancy fonts. Well, I am. Okay, and what we're going to do, we're going to change this first statement up here. Okay, where I've got my title, and I'm going to use a special event, a special type of event. I'm going to come down, I'm going to get rid of this line of text in a minute, but I'm going to use it for reference as I start typing this new one. Okay, so let's have a look. So I want to draw text, draw underscore text underscore transformed, and I'm going to use this bottom one here, draw text transformed color. Okay, now there's lots of parameters here, so we're going to go through these in turn. So the X and the Y position, that's the same as a normal draw text statement, so that's where do you want to draw your text. So I want to say room width, room underscore width divided by 2. Okay, I'm going to use the same setting as my my other text statement underneath here for my my y-axis. So that's 100, comma, and it's asking me what the string is going to be. So the string is, as it is in my other one, yo, exclamation mark, double space, where's my hat? Where's my hat? There. Where's my hat? Okay, and I'm going to close the string down like that, comma. Now I'm looking at the bottom. If you're not with me, I'm looking at the bottom here. Okay, this is where it's going to be giving me all of my my parameters. So now it's asking me how much do I want to scale the font. So this font has a size. So I could, if I make it, if I put that as 1, my font size will stay the same as all my other text. If I set it at 2, it'll double the size. If I set it at 3, it'll triple the size. So let's try 3. Okay, so I'm going to scale it 3 times as big on the X, comma. I'm going to do the same thing on the Y to keep it consistent. And do I want to angle it? In other words, do I want the text to slant? Okay, no I don't, so I'm going to put a 0 in there. Okay, now it's asking me for C1, C2, C3 and C4. Now these are colours, so I'm going to show you what happens when you change these in a minute, but I'm going to start with blue. So C underscore, okay, and there's the different colours that I can use. So you start with C underscore and you can give it, and you can choose your colour. So I'm going to go blue, okay, comma, colour 2, C underscore blue, comma, C3, that's colour 3, C underscore blue, comma, C4, C underscore blue, and then the last bit is the alpha, and that's the transparency. You don't want the transparency, okay, you want it to be solid, so you set the transparency to 1. So if I made it 0.5, it would fade it out, for example. Okay, so let's have a look and see how that looks. Okay, so that's my color so far. So you can see that I might decide I want to move that up slightly. I'm going to get rid of this this line of text here. So let's get rid of, let's change that to 50 for the y-axis, and let's get rid of the original line of text. Okay, and let's make sure that we put our semicolon at the end, just to make sure that we're using the right structure. So let's run it again. So that's better. So you can see, yo, where's my hat? It's in blue. Okay, I got a small s, so I can change that. Where's my hat? All right. So what do all these things here do then? Well, let's change this one here. Rather than blue, let's change that to yellow. And let's change that one to yellow. Okay, and let's run it again. So you can see I'm going from blue to yellow. Okay, so you can have a play about with those different colors and find which one works for you. But that's a way in which you can use the set text transform color to add effects to your text. So yes, whilst it is quite a complex statement, once you start working through it, it does become quite straightforward. So like I say, that command is the draw text transform color command. You're giving the same X and Y values, it works the same way as that. So it's exactly the same as a draw statement up to this point. Okay, and then this is the parameters, these are the parameters. So if I change the scaling, for example, if I change that to 3 and I change that to 1, let's see what impact that has. Okay, so you can see that it makes the font wider, but it's keeping it the same height, okay, as the other font down here. All right, so let's put that back to 3. Okay, so you can have a play about with those. If I wanted, let's try this transparency at the end, 0.5. Said about that. So if I play it now, you can see that it's faded the font out. Okay, so so that's how we use that that statement to set the transparent color. I'll change that back to 1, and what we're going to look at now is how do we move the game forward through clicking the enter to start the game. So that's another, we're going to use another event that you haven't used before called a step event. Now, if we look at the settings of our game, so I'm looking at the game options at the top here. Okay, you haven't got to do this, I'm just demonstrating. You can see that in our options, our game is set to the game frames per second, so that's 60 frames per second. And what that means is that the game calculates 60 times a second, so it runs at 60 frames, 60 game frames a second. And with this, we have a special event that we've got here called a step event. And a step event, the difference between a step event and a normal event is a normal event runs once, is checked for once, whereas a step event is constantly checked every single frame of the game. So we need to use step events for running our game, because we constantly want to check to see if the enter button is pressed when we're on a certain screen. Okay, so we're going to add event and we're going to create a step event. Okay, so I'm going to change this to game run. So I'm going to change this, or when game is running. Okay. So what I want to do is to check to see whether the enter key is pressed. So we need to do a keyboard check pressed statement. Okay, which is a statement you haven't used before. So it's an if statement. So an if statement checks a condition, and if it's met, it does something. If it's not met, it doesn't do it. Okay, so we're going to type in if. We're going to open a bracket. Keyboard underscore check underscore pressed. Okay, so you can see as I'm starting to type that, it's saying at the end it wants to, you need to identify a key. Okay, so pressed, open a bracket, and now it's going to ask me what key do I want to check for, to check that's been pressed. Okay, and what I want to do is VK underscore, so that's the key we're going to check for, and we need to scroll down till we find enter. So there it is, VK enter. So that's what we're going to check for. We're going to check to see if the keyboard on the keyboard, whether or not the enter key has been pressed. We don't put a semicolon at the end of that line. Now we only run what's inside the curly brackets on an if statement. So we do it curly brackets, and we want to room underscore go to. Okay, and we want to go to level 1. Okay, so that is RM underscore, there's level 1 there, level 1. We're going to close that bracket, and we're going to put our semicolon in, and we're just going to close down the curly brackets. So that's what it's going to do. So this line, this section of code now, in 60 times every single game frame, is going to check, 60 times on each frame of the game, it's going to check if the keyboard has been pressed, and if it has, if it's an enter key, then if it has been, if the enter key has been pressed, it's going to move us to level 1 in our game. If enter hasn't been pressed, then it's not going to move us to level 1. Okay, so I'm going to give that a little try. So let's run the game. Okay, so I'm at my menu screen, so I'm pressing the space bar at the moment, nothing's happening. Lots of different keys, nothing's happening. I'm going to press the enter key. Right, it starts my game. Oh, so what's going on there? Why is that happening? Well, we need to look at the code to realise what's going on there. So what's happening, it's moved me to my game, but I've still got my menu screen, or at least my welcome screen, on the screen as well. So let's have a look at what's going on. Well, in my draw event, okay, this is going to be drawn on any room that's displayed. So I need a way of ensuring that only the text I need to be displayed on a room is displayed on a room. Okay, and I'm going to do that using a case statement. So it's going to check to see what room we're in, and depending on what room we're in, it's going to draw text on the screen for that room. So we're going to use a case statement to do that, and you've used a case statement before when we dealt with the exit. So when you walked over the exit, depending on what room you're in, it would take you to a different room. So we're going to do something similar here. So we're going to switch the room on certain cases. Okay, so we're going to switch, open a bracket, room. Okay. So I'm going to give myself a couple of lines here, just so I can do a bit of work here. And the switch room statement starts with a open curly bracket, and I'm just going to close the curly bracket here. So anything I type in the switch statement is going to be inside these curly brackets. Okay. So the first thing I want to do is a case statement. So switch room. So I'm going to just come in using the tab key, so as I can block my code so it's easy to read. So case, I'm in rm underscore welcome. So if I'm in the welcome room, I want to do the following. So I'm going to put colon. Then I want to do this text that I've got here. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to paste it in here. Okay. I'm going to get rid of this text now because I don't need it here. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to make sure, and it's really, really important you do this, when you've used a center command, okay, that you convert or you move or you change the alignment back to left, because if you don't, when you do your next piece of text, okay, it will remember the center alignment. So we're going to do a draw, set, align, h-align, sorry, h-align comment, and we're going to set it to fa underscore left. Okay, and then we're going to do a break to stop this section of case. Okay, we can do break, because a case statement won't stop running that particular section until it gets to a break command. So it's important at the end of every case statement you use the break statement. Okay, right, so what happens then if we're in level 1? So case rm underscore level 1. So we've got 3 of these to do, 3 more of these, and we're going to put a colon. And now I'm going to copy this, because all I want to draw on the screen with this case statement are these 2 lines. I'm going to get rid of the comment bits there first. I'm going to highlight those 2 pieces of text. I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to come down to the next line, and I'm going to paste it in. Okay, let's just move that across, and then I'm going to put a break command at the bottom of that one. Now I'm going to copy this whole piece of text here, because I need to do this 3 times. I'm going to come down 2 lines, and I'm going to paste that in, and this time case level 2. Okay, and I'm going to come down another 2 lines, and I'm going to paste that in, case level 3. So now what should happen, when I press the enter key, this text should disappear, and I should be left with the score on the screen, but I shouldn't see the score on the screen for the welcome page. Let's just get rid of that piece of text up there, otherwise I will. Okay, right. Okay, let's try it. So I'm going to run my game. Let's see what happens. So I've got my text on the screen. I'm going to press enter to start my game, and then my text disappears, and I'm just left with my scoring system. But we've still got this problem though, haven't we? Where if I go on to level 2, I it resets the game. So we need to deal with that before we go any further. As a matter of fact, we'll deal with that actually in the next video. So I've still got that situation where it resets my lives and things. So I'm going to deal with that in the next video about making the scores persistent, and we're going to look at the game win screen and the game lose screen. Okay, so that's going to be the next video. So that's going to be persistence, keeping the score on the lives through all rooms, and the win and the lose screen. So I look forward to seeing you in the next video.